Okay, let's see if we can do this together. So today's date is August 26th, 2023. And it's probably 12 p.m., a little bit after 12 p.m. Say hi, and this is Mr. Zen. Mr. Zen, oh, today you are 7 months. Today, Mr. Zen is 7 months. How you feel about that? How has your experience been? Yeah, you don't want to talk about it? Okay. So it's been a while since I made a video, and I just wanted to make a video. I've been wanting to make videos and edit videos, but I've just been so tuned in and focused on being a mother and just taking care of myself that I just honestly have not took the time to do it. So today I was like, let me just go ahead and share what's been going on these past 7 months, how I have been adjusting to motherhood, and just basically like catching you guys up on what's been happening. So the birth story. So I went into labor, I guess, I don't even know, I'm still trying to figure out the correct terms with it. I started having my surges January 25th in this house. Everybody, I was surrounded by beautiful people, great people. His father, Sherman, he came down on the 24th, January 24th. I don't know if I said July or not, but January 26th is when he was born, and his father came down what is going on? I need some sleep. His father came down January 24th, and I went into labor January 25th and had him January 26th. Okay, I'm gonna get it right. I'm sorry. And so, yeah, like I said, I was here, we was downstairs, and everybody was here, just checking in, and we were just talking. And I remember getting this feeling in my stomach. I was like, do I gotta poop? Because it was random, it was like a random pain that I thought that it just felt like I had to poop. What you trying to do? What are you trying to do? You don't want me to tell the story? It was a random pain, and it felt like I had to poop. And I was like, okay, maybe I just gotta take a dump. So I just kind of shrugged it off. I didn't think much about it because it was so quick, and then it went away. But then it came back again probably 10 minutes later, and I was like, okay, maybe I do have to poop. I don't know, that's weird. But I just kind of I didn't make a big deal about it. My water didn't break or anything like that. Because honestly, I guess, I don't know. It's like I didn't have expectations, but it's like I did have expectations. And so, I'm talking about you, yeah. And so, so my stomach was kind of I just kept getting, now that I know what it was, I was having contractions or surges or whatever. And so I didn't think much about it. I think I ended up going to bed later on that night. Went to bed, and then I woke up because I kept getting them. I kept waking up and I kept getting them, and I was like, okay. And then right around 2 o'clock in the morning, I just came downstairs and I called my mom, and I was like, and she was working. She works third shift, so I called my mom and I was like, I think it's happening. And she was like, oh my god, and I was just like, okay, this is happening, but I'm cool. I was real chill, I was real relaxed. I wasn't scared, I wasn't really nervous. I was just honestly focusing on breathing through each wave. And by that time, my wave was probably every 10 minutes or so, whatever. And so, like I said, this was 2 o'clock in the morning. I think I went back upstairs and I tried to go back to sleep, but I just kept getting them over and over, and I was like, okay. So I was just breathing through it. I just kept waking up every hour or every time I would get it, and I would just feel the sensation of my stomach contracting, and I was just like, okay. So I ended up going to sleep, waking, and then I woke up probably a couple hours later, went to go pee, and that's when I had my first bloody show. I started seeing a little bit of blood. Yeah, a little bit of blood. We seen a little blood, and we was like, okay, you about to be making your way down. Now it's crazy because January 26th, this next day or whatever, I had already had an appointment scheduled. I had an appointment scheduled just for a regular checkup because my due dates were before I left the States, my due date was supposed to be February 6th, 2023. And then when I came here and I seen the doctor here, he was like, well, we're thinking January 28th, around that time. And I was like, okay. And so, and I felt intuitively, I felt that he was going to come sooner than February 6th. And so we had a doctor's appointment, January, like at 3 o'clock. Okay. We had a doctor's appointment. Here you go. We had a doctor's appointment, like at 3 o'clock that day. We had a doctor's appointment. And so, you know, I'm just focusing on breathing through my contractions, my surges throughout the day. I really wasn't, we was going to plan on going to the beach and everything, which I'm glad we didn't, because like right around the time that it was time for me to go to the doctor's appointment, like around 2 something, that's when things started to pick up more. I had a little diarrhea, which looking back at it, I think it was just my body preparing for birth, just getting everything out. But yeah, Graham. And so I had, where was I at? Okay, yeah, so we were prepping to go to the doctor, the doctor or whatever. And I had a midwife and I had a doula, a couple of doulas actually. I had a couple of women volunteer to be my doula, and my midwife was Sumi. She's amazing, so amazing, super wonderful support. I had amazing support. But around 3 o'clock, we got to the doctor's appointment, and on the way to the doctor's appointment, we was taking an Uber, right? And so here in Mexico, they have these little hill, I don't even know I don't want to call them. What do you call those things back in the States? I forgot what they're called. It's like a speed bump, but it's like a bigger speed bump. Like you can't just like, if you try to jump it, your car is going to go flying in the air. So you have to like slow down. But while we was on the way, when we were on the way to the doctor's appointment, we had to go over a couple of those, and every time I was just like, oh, like it just felt like he was dropping down. But the crazy thing was, like, my contractions wasn't that bad. It was doable. I can see why women will be like, give me the medication. But honestly, if it wasn't for me practicing, what is it called? What's the terminology called for it? Hypnobirthing techniques. If it wasn't for me practicing hypnobirthing techniques and just practicing like my affirmations around just everything, that I think, I don't even try to think about what would have happened or what could have happened or whatever, but I'm just grateful that I practice hypnobirthing techniques to help with the mental part of giving birth. I mean, I feel like birthing a baby is mostly mental. I feel like it's mostly mental. And so on the way to the doctor's appointment, we was riding through the Uber. We were riding in the Uber, and I was just like breathing through each surge. I wasn't like, hyperventilating or whatever you want to call it. I wasn't just like, oh my God. Like I felt like I had pretty good control of everything, and I was just breathing and focusing. But things definitely started to pick up whenever we were on the way to the doctor. To just check everything. I just wanted him to check. This entire birth, I didn't have my vagina checked. They just mostly did ultrasounds on my stomach. I think I went to the doctor maybe 3 or 4 times just to see how everything's going. My first time going was back in the States to confirm that I was pregnant. My second time was here in Mexico to basically check the sex. I was like 20 something weeks to check his sex, and then I went probably like 2 more times just to make sure everything's going good and everything, make sure he's in the right position. And that was it. And so we went there, got to the doctor's appointment, and he just confirmed that, he is head down. The umbilical cord is not wrapped around his neck or anything like that. And throughout the visit, I was having my little surges. I was like, okay, hold on a second, let's breathe. And so they was real quiet. They let me focus on that. And I just honestly, it's just so beautiful. Every time I think about it, everything is just so beautiful. Like, whew, it was just so beautiful. Just me just thinking about how I just closed my eyes and I was just like, okay, just like breathing through that feeling. And like, I actually did it. Like, I did that shit. Every time I think about it, like, every time I look at him, I just think, like, I did it. I did it. You're going to sleep? But so after the doctor's appointment, we got back here like around maybe 4 or 5:30, and definitely things started picking up more. I remember going to the bathroom and pooping some more, and then I remember just trying to like get on the floor. I had my yoga mat on the ground, and I remember just trying to get on the floor and like work my hips in circles, just breathing because things were starting to pick up. Sherman, he was doing a great job. He was in there washing dishes, and I remember he was trying to make him something to eat, and I just remember like smelling stuff, like the smell. I can see why, because my midwife, we had meetings and stuff like that before this had happened, and with my doulas and stuff, and you know, I remember her mentioning, you know, no strong perfumes and stuff like that, and I was just like, why does that matter? Like, but I understand, because everything, like, I didn't want nothing, like, I didn't want to smell nothing. I don't want to smell, like, he was cooking, I think he made some noodles, or he made something. Yeah, he made some eggs, like some ramen and some noodles, whatever, I don't know, but, I just remember, like, being on the ground, and I just remember, like, being so sensitive to, like, smells, like, but, so yeah, I got here, was working on the ground. I was working my hips on the ground, like moving around in circles, breathing. And then I was sitting here thinking, okay, something was like, I think it's time for us to call Marcy. Like, everything lined up, and Marcy's my doula, but everything lined up so perfectly. And so I called Marcy, and I was like, hey, Marcy, I said, I don't think I'm about to have him yet, but I would like for you to go ahead and come, like, go ahead and make your way this way. So she did, and it's so crazy because it seemed like time was just like, apparently time was just moving, because I thought it felt like everything was moving slow, and I wasn't expecting him to have him so soon. Like, I didn't have any expectations, but I wasn't expecting to have him soon, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But so Marcy, my doula, she came. I met her out here in Mexico. And she volunteered to be my doula. And so she came, and I was just sitting here, and my neighbors, they came there. And okay, so my birthing pool was supposed to be here. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible, because I know I don't want to like just ramble. I'm trying to get to the point. But my birthing pool, I need to get on the ground. My birthing pool was supposed to be here, and it didn't show up. So, and I was thinking about that the other day too. I was just like, my birthing pool didn't show up, so what was I even going to do? Like, I don't know. I didn't even plan on what I was going to do. I was just doing and not even planning. But anyway, so my birthing pool was supposed to be here like way before then, and it didn't show up. So my neighbor, Micaiah, she came over, and she was just here. She was like, oh, it's just that every time I think about it, I just get so excited. But anyways, so Micaiah came over, and she was like, I asked her for her little yoga ball so I can like roll my hips, like, you know, sit on the ball and roll my hips in circles and stuff. And then she was like, do you want me to go pick up you a kiddie pool? And I was like, please. So Marcy gets here. Sherman was in there washing dishes. I feel like he was washing dishes for a minute. Like, I don't know if that was his way to like just cope with everything, but the environment, it wasn't nothing like stressful. Like, I don't know what he was feeling. He said he was feeling, you know, excited, and just was like, he was just happy and excited. And I was just sitting here, just kind of like, just honestly in the moment. I was just so present. I wasn't thinking about what if this happened or what if that happens. I was just kind of, before I called Marcy over, I was kind of like, oh boy. I think after my like contractions kept coming, I was like, okay, like, phew, like, I felt like maybe a negative thought trying to creep in, and I was like, nah, let's go ahead and call Marcy over. And so we called her, and that's how she came over or whatever. That's how I got her over here. But so what happened after that? Okay, so yeah, Micaiah went to go get a kiddie pool at Walmart, and I was sitting here in this same spot with the yoga ball, and I wasn't even thinking to record it. I think I got a couple of videos. Maybe they got a couple of videos. I'm not for sure. Maybe a picture. I think Sherman had a picture of me like sitting on the yoga ball. I'll probably insert that in there. But I was just moving my hips in circles, and Marcy was here, and she was encouraging me. She was like just reminding me to breathe and not to like, you know, scrunch up my face and stuff like that, and just to relax my face and just to breathe. And that's what I was just doing. And then at one point, I think I thought about ice, and I thought about a video I had seen where whenever a lady was like in the middle of her surge, or whenever she felt a surge coming, she would grab ice and squeeze it. So I was doing that for a little bit, and that was nice. That helped. And so eventually time goes by, and Micaiah shows up with the pool. They get the pool blowed up. They bring it in here, they come and sit right here on the floor. And then I'm just like, this is funny. This is the funny part. So the water out here in Mexico it's different. We're gonna say that it's different. And so my neighbor, Micaiah's husband, Leaf, he was like, you know, we gotta make sure we pour some clean water in the and I'm gonna have to insert the video because he had a video. It was so funny. But basically, they didn't want to use the sink water, so they bought like a whole bunch of like these water bottles and was trying to like warm the water up on the stove. They had a whole process going, and it was so sweet. Oh my goodness! But they was basically trying to do that, warm the water up, and then pour it in the pool. By this time, I was like, I gotta get in some type of water, so let me just go upstairs. So I went upstairs into my bathroom, and I had a chair in the shower. And I was just sitting there, and that was amazing. Like, I took off my shirt, and I don't know why, I put on some bikini bottoms. I don't know. I was just thinking, I don't even know why I did that. I think I was just like trying to prepare for the picture, but like for, not pictures, but prepare for video footage, and I just didn't want my coochie all out. But, so I get in the shower, and I'm like, okay, this feels good. So we're sitting there, Sherman's sitting on the toilet, while I'm sitting in the shower, and I'm just like, you know, riding the waves. And then it was so crazy because when I think about it, like, I was just thinking like, when I had the next surge, I was like, well, let me just try to push a little bit and see what that feels like. And when I pushed, like, it helped. Like, it made it stopped the contraction. So I was like, oh, okay. And that's what I was thinking in my brain. But then I was like, is it time to push? And I'm thinking all this in my inside of my head, right? And Sherman, he was sitting there, he was like, do you feel like you need a push? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I tried a little bit and it felt, he said, maybe try pushing a little bit. Like, he basically, like, it's like he heard what I was thinking and, like, basically said, just push, like, trust yourself to push. So I was like, okay. So then the next contraction came, and I was like, okay. So I was like, pushing, and I was like, oh, okay, like, this feels good. It's taking it, like, it ain't hurting no more. But then as I kept pushing, and I kept feeling him come down, I was like, oh, like, he gotta come out. He has to come out. So I was like, okay, this feels good that I'm pushing. So I'm just riding the wave, but I can feel, like, if I could describe the feeling, like him coming down, it didn't hurt. That didn't hurt. It was more so like oh crap, like, he gotta come out. And I feel myself stretching. The stretching wasn't hurting. It was just like, I can tell that he's like going down there. Like, it felt like a bowl. It felt like, my phone. Okay, it felt like a bowl, like I was pushing, like, you know how you can cup a bowl like this? Well, I felt like the bottom part, I felt like that was like, I don't know, I can't describe it, but that was what it felt like. It felt like I was about to push a bowl out of my vagina, and it was just his head, of course. So I felt myself stretching, and then when it got close to the, like, him coming down a little bit more, I started thinking like, oh man, he gotta come out of this little tiny hole. Like, he gotta come out of this tiny hole. And I was just thinking that, and I remember while I was thinking, I was like, oh my God. And Sumi, she was upstairs because like she was like, do you feel like you gotta do you feel like he's coming? Like, do you feel like you gotta push? And I'm thinking, I told her no. I was like, no. But I remember while I was like, you know, pushing, I guess, or going through my surges, I remember looking at her, catching a glimpse of her, and she had her gloves on. I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know why she got her gloves on, because like, he's not finna come right now. I don't think he's finna come right now. I was just thinking, like, he ain't finna come right now. It's too soon. It's too soon. He's not finna come right now. But he was definitely coming down. And so by this time, yeah, she was in the bathroom, and I'm sitting here, you know, working him down and breathing and pushing him out, or getting ready to push him out. And right towards the end, like right there, when I knew he was, like when I felt myself spreading more and his head coming down, I was like, oh, I just remember looking up at the ceiling, and I was just thinking like, yo, I'm not doing this no more. But then I remember Sumi, she said, Kenyatta, she said, it's like she read my brain. Like, and I remember talking to her, she was just like, she said, I knew that look. I know that look. I'm so familiar with the look, because that look is just, I see that look all the time. And she said, I knew that's what you was thinking. And I was just like, it was, because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, yo, how is he supposed to come out of my tiny little, like, how is he supposed to come out of there? And she was like, Kenyatta, she was like, she said, your body is stretching. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what it's supposed to do. And I was like, okay. And so that helped me, like, not resist and just let go. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, I just allowed my body to just let go. And I remember the next wave that came, I was just like, like, you know, I pushed or whatever. And then I remember my vagina popping. And I guess now that I think back to it, maybe that was like my water breaking. I don't know. But like, I was like, oh, my vagina just did something. And his head, I wanted to touch, but I was too afraid to touch. Like, I kept trying to touch it first, but then like once my vagina popped, I was like, no, let me just focus on getting them out, then we can touch afterwards. But yeah, my vagina had popped. I guess that it was either the water breaking or me tearing, because I did tear. But I didn't know I tore until she told me that I tore. But and it's so crazy, like, everybody had their phones out. I didn't even know everybody was in the room with me, because I was in the bathroom. But Sherman had his phone like right there where he can see, where he could record where he was coming out. And Sumi had her phone to record and all that. But nobody could catch him. Like, nobody caught him coming out. Like, Sherman's phone ended up saying something about memory was full, but it let him record like 10 minutes after he was born. So I think that was just crazy, but he just wasn't meant to be recorded. But anyway, so my vagina had popped, his head was out a little bit, I guess. And then the next push, he was completely out, and Sherman caught him, and I grabbed him, and I just was like, I don't watch that video so much. I was like, oh my God, the cry, the ugliest cry ever. But I was just like, when he cried, and then I felt him, and I was just like, yo, he's here. Like, oh my God. And I just remember looking down, and I was just like, oh my God, I just gave her. And it was just so crazy. It was just the most beautiful thing ever. Everything was just perfectly aligned. Everything was just perfectly on time. After, you know, and then it's crazy, because literally after I gave birth, my mom had called, and I didn't even call her throughout the entire process. Like, I called her, last time I had talked to her was like 2:00 that morning, and maybe a couple of minutes, maybe when I came back from the doctor's appointment, I talked to her while I was pooping or whatever. I can't remember. Like, I was so focused. I was just so focused. But everything was so beautiful. Oh, it was so beautiful. Rinsed off in the shower, and then I got in the bed with him. Sumi checked my placenta came out, and it was just a beautiful I just couldn't believe, like, wow. Birthing him, carrying him and birthing him made me realize like how much power I have as a woman, like how powerful I am, how intuitive I am, how like I heard my intuition clear, so clear. That's the clearest I've probably ever heard my intuition and listened. Like that's the clearest I've ever heard my intuition, and that's the most like I've ever listened. Like I didn't have to think twice or really just question myself. My body literally knew what to do. She knew exactly what to do. And I'm so grateful for the experience. Like, I'm so grateful for the experience. Postpartum, it wasn't, I mean, obviously I'm still going through postpartum, 7 months postpartum, but postpartum lasts from what I heard, postpartum lasts for 2 years, up to 2 or so years. I don't know how many years, but yeah. Postpartum went smooth. I did tear. I think I had a secondary tear. The doctor, Dr. Felix, he came and he sewed me. He came here and sewed me up and put me back together. But I was a little tender. You know, obviously I felt like at times, my vagina was about to fall out. But I just kept drinking raspberry leaf tea and just kind of just resting. And I had a lot of help, you know. Sherman had to leave on February 5th or so. So I was here by myself afterwards, but my neighbors was here to help as well. Honestly, it's just been, it's so much. And this video is already long enough, but I just wanted to make this video talking about the birth experience and how it was just so beautiful. I know it was everywhere and my brain was just like da 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 everywhere. And I know I talk fast, so I hope that it wasn't too fast, and I hope that you guys could catch it. But I do want to make another video talking about my postpartum experience and just talking about things that I've been doing to help with postpartum and just taking care of my mental and things of that nature. So I'm going to end this video and stay tuned for the next video, just postpartum care. I'm going to be also talking about microdosing shrooms and how that's definitely helped me tremendously with postpartum. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Zen is here sleeping, knocked out. But thank you guys for tuning in. I love you, and definitely subscribe, like this video, share it, and I hope that it encourages you to, if you're pregnant, if you're planning to get pregnant, just know that you don't have to, your birthing experience doesn't have to be like what you see on TV. It's what you make it. It's literally what you make it. I hope that this inspires you to trust your body, to listen to yourself, to know that, you know, you have everything you need. Just, you don't need a lot of stuff. Like, you don't need a lot of stuff. You don't need a lot of people. Just to trust yourself and that you can do it. Like, I did it. And honestly, that experience, like, if I could do that shit, excuse my language, but if I could do it every day, I would do it every day. I would literally do the same experience with him over and over. Now, I think I'm good with my one baby. When my husband come around, maybe I can give him a baby or so. But for right now, if I had to redo my birth experience over and over again, I would do it over and over and over again. And that's something that I really stand by, because back in the States, I feel like my birth experience probably would not have been like it was here. There's so many different Black women, so many different stories. I don't really tune into it because honestly, I'm so sensitive to it, but like, y'all heard the narrative when it comes to Black women in hospitals and all of that. So I just hope that this motivates you and inspires you to follow through with the home birth and to trust yourself. I honestly feel like I could have did that by myself. Well, did that with me and the father, Sherman. I feel like we could have just did that by ourselves, honestly. Now, as far as sewing me back together, I don't know how that would have worked, but if I didn't tear or anything, I definitely could have did that by myself for sure. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next video. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.